Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If we may have your attention at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we have some very important people that would like to toast the happy couple. If you'll please welcome to the microphone first, Grace's father, Mr. Don Hackett. Let's put your hands together for him.
I'm gonna go turn it up real quick.
Good evening, everyone. Let's see, pause. First off, Karen and I, Larry and Carol, we'd love to thank every one of you for being here. We really do appreciate it to help us celebrate this wonderful evening. So thank you for being here. Just have a couple message points. About 30 years ago, Karen and I spent a long night in a hospital in New York City. We were waiting for Grace to show up. So it was a real eventful evening, but we're not going into that. Karen and I got to know each other really well that night for some other reasons. I was in the ER, not Karen. But what do we want? So I was a typical guy. Most guys here aren't very bright, right? I should be a politician. All I wanted was like a healthy baby, right? And we waited and waited, and then Grace came. And what did we do that night? We didn't let go. We just held her all night long. It was wonderful. So that morning, when I left Grace and Karen, I got in the car and started driving up to the Bronx, where we lived. But I didn't make it. I made it to 93rd Street. I stopped the car, pulled over, and I started to cry. And it was wonderful. I was just so happy. I couldn't drive, I couldn't go anywhere, and I just sat there and cried. That was just a wonderful morning. I think it was Christmas Eve.
It was Christmas Eve. That's when she was born.
Well, guess what? Tonight, walking Grace down that aisle, I was crying again. That wonderful, happy father crying that I hope everyone here experiences if you're a dad. Because it's just wonderful. And I really do love you too. But before I turn the mic over, because I only had 45 seconds, our ask, what do we want? We want you two to live life to the fullest. We want you to enjoy everyone that's here, and we want you to build upon the family, the foundation that's here. The matriarchs. We have Grace Hake McClory, we have Jean Roach Hackett, our nifty 90 matriarchs of the family are here. So in a generation or two, in a generation or two, when you're here with your families, you're going to know that it was built on love, and we all appreciate it. So, Phil, guess what? She's all yours. And we love her.
Hi, I am Grace's sister, Kelly, and I want to thank everyone for being here and celebrating Grace and Phil's first perfect day as a married couple. Grace and Phil didn't necessarily fall into love. They walked into their love story after 12 years of knowing each other. Their eyes were wide open and choosing to take each and every step along the way. I believe in fate and destiny, but I more strongly believe that we're only fated to do things that we would have chosen anyway, and marriage is waking up each and every day, choosing to love your spouse that day and every day after. After watching Grace and Phil's love story grow over the past few years, I have no doubt that we'll be telling stories from tonight at their 50th anniversary party. Your love is so strong, it's so big, it's electric. Phil, thank you for loving Grace enough to accept our family and all the events that come with it. I promise that if those events include breakfast, your eggs will be cooked dry and your coffee won't be very hot. I promise to challenge you in mad gabs and bananagrams, but mostly I promise to love your kids as much as you love ours. You're always willing to babysit, to make funny elephant noises, and to spend your days at the zoo with us. You have been amazing not only to my sister, but to us as well, and I couldn't have asked for a better man to join our family. So Grace, there aren't really words that can describe just how much I love you, but you're basically my most favorite person in the history of ever. Thank you for asking me to be by your side today. Thank you for always standing by my side. Thank you for loving me even if I have permanently borrowed way too many outfits. Thank you for making me laugh so hard my cheeks hurt. We have a million of memories. We have thousands of inside jokes, hundreds of shared secrets, not only because you're my sister, but you're my best friend. Your friendship has helped me grow, kept me grounded, lifted my spirit, and brightened my life. We've on occasion been asked if we're twins, and I'm sure that's not something an older sister always likes to hear, but there's no one I'd be more honored to be compared to. You've been there for us countless of times. I'm so blessed to have you guys in Houston, because not only for us, but for my kids. You've always been my role model, and now they get to aspire to be just like you also. Okay, to Phil and Grace, cheers.
That was fabulous. That was so
Hi, everyone. Oh, that's loud. Okay. My name's Alexis, and Grace and I have been friends for 11 years, since we were freshmen in college. And I haven't actually asked permission, but I like to think I'm speaking tonight on behalf of a bigger group of Grace's friends in here who have been through so much together in the past decade. And we really just love each other so deeply. And we could not be happier that Grace found you, Phil. But while everything is great between Phil and Grace's friends now, I do have to say that it has not always been so rosy. Back when Phil and Grace first moved in together, there were actually a few friends that Phil was not too fond of, and he actually made Grace stop hanging out with them. But they were a really big part of Grace's life, and so I think we should acknowledge them. Joey, Phoebe, Rachel, Ross, Chandler, and Monica. So, yes, as many of you know, Grace and the rest of us are huge fans of the TV show Friends. And Grace really did used to fall asleep every night. Sorry, it's time to let it out. Grace really did fall asleep every night watching Friends until Phil decided apparently a laugh track is not the most soothing tone to fall asleep to, so he put the kibosh on that. But I hate to break it to you, Phil, but you guys kind of are like the real life Chandler and Monica, if you really stop to think about it. So think about it. Your love storyline is pretty much just like theirs, right? You're the goofy one, and Grace is the organized one. You guys were friends first, and one night, maybe unexpectedly, you took it out of the friend zone. You started dating, maybe keeping it a little quiet from your nosy friends at first, until one day you declared your love, and the rest is history. And like Chandler and Monica, you even had a friend officiate your wedding, although thankfully Matt today was on time and not wearing a World War II soldier costume. So actually today, true story, I was watching Friends this morning in the house we're staying at, and we were watching the episode where Chandler and Monica move in together, and Monica and Rachel have to stop living together. And the line they keep saying in that episode is, "It's the end of an era." But it made me think how lucky I am that never once in a relationship have I ever felt like I was losing Grace or that any kind of era was ending. I have only ever felt that our collective family is just becoming so much bigger and so much more full of love. And as I get older, I realize more and more that whether you're single or part of a couple, we are all so much a sum of the people that we surround ourselves with. And I was thankful to be tasked with making a slideshow for the rehearsal dinner last night, and many people in this room contributed videos. And as they kept coming to my inbox and I kept watching them, I just would think like, oh my God, Grace and Phil are so lucky to have so many people that love them, and they have touched and influenced so many people right back. So the love that you guys give, share, and receive is overwhelming. So obviously I don't actually have any real life marriage advice to give, but years of obsessive Friends viewing has made me an expert in dissecting Chandler and Monica's relationship. So I am going to share with you what I've learned. And that is, as long as you surround yourselves and share your lives intimately with your family, both the ones you were born into and the ones that you make for yourself, your relationship is going to grow stronger and happier. Sorry. Every day. Not think this would happen. Okay. Anyway, I'm almost done. The reason we love the TV show Friends so much is because it's a show about that, about people who were not born a family but became one just the same. And I'm so lucky and thankful to be part of your family. And I can't wait to see what life has in store for you guys. I love you.
Okay. For those of you that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Joey Bright, and I'm Phil's best man. This distinguished tall gentleman to my left is Taylor Buchholz. He's also Phil's best man. I want to start off actually with the toast. This is an absolutely beautiful night, beautiful wedding. I know a lot of people worked really hard, particularly Grace Hackett, Grace Counselor. Yesterday morning, leaving Houston, I thought that this was going to be kind of a tough gig, getting a lot of everybody here. I thought we might have to swim here. But the weather held up. Everybody made it here. It's beautiful. So thank you, Grace. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Larry. Last night was awesome, too. So cheers to everybody who made this happen. This is going to be an awesome night. So Phil has a lot more friends than anybody I know. There is no close second, and it is a very big honor to be up here today. It really is not lost on me how many other people could be here. I'm not talking about just like people who consider you a drinking buddy or a friend, like a real friend, and people that love you, and people that I know that you love. So it is a big deal for Taylor and I to be here. I am an only child. My mom likes to tell a story about how I used to go knocking door to door in my neighborhood asking if there was anybody that I could be friends with. I even went as far a couple times apparently as to offer a referral fee. So I always really wanted a brother, and for better or worse, Phil is my brother. We have been separated at the hip, or not inseparable, rather than separated at the hip. Whatever. I don't know how that saying goes. We fight like brothers, not physically because I'm not that stupid, but we spend all of our time together, and I couldn't ask for anything more. So I love you for that. Taylor, Phil, and I have been friends for over 20 years now. So we have a whole lot of stories, most of which probably should never be told over a microphone. So Taylor and I have tried to limit these to PG-13 and let you all get to the drinking and dancing sooner rather than later. But we met Phil probably when we were about 10 years old. We were not close friends at the time. Phil and I both had separate groups of friends, and I'm going to start off kind of on a more serious note. Start of high school, Phil and I, for whatever reason, ended up kind of on the outside looking in with our friends. And Taylor kind of took us in and created what now is an amazing group of people and just an amazing bond that I couldn't be more thankful for. And it was at the beginning, it was kind of tough. We actually were not, believe it or not, we were not like the popular group of guys. We spent most of our weekends, the three of us, there might have been a few others, playing video games or jumping off roofs, or a handful of other absurd things that we could do. Or we used to try to catch bats with Mr. Buchhold's pool equipment. Anyway, so it didn't start off great. With that said, I'm going to hand off to Taylor for a few minutes. We're going to kind of go back and forth, so I hope you all have full drinks.
So I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm not as poetically elegant as Joey is. So I'm going to be kind of going back and forth. It's not memorized, but I'm not going to read it. But I'm going to do my best. So I appreciate Joey crediting me with bringing the three of us together. But I think the real thing that brought us together was my parents' pool house, our never-ending snack closet and refrigerator that they kept stocked with anything a kid could ever want, but their parents would never buy. So we couldn't have enough candy bars, sodas, Hot Pockets, and the isolation of the pool house provided many a fun-filled nights, like Joey said, that we can discuss later over a few more cocktails. So I'm sure many of you have shared a meal with Phil, and if you have, then you're probably aware of his utter distaste for mustard. And he hates it so much that I used to chase him around or try to sneak up behind him with a mustard bottle and just squeeze it just enough to get the smell of it so that he could smell it. And he would freak out and overreact and pull one of these at you. But in my 20 years of knowing Phil, there's only one thing that he dislikes more than mustard, and that's cockroaches. So our senior year, we were at a party, and it must have been dragging or something. So Brad decides to finds a dead cockroach on the ground and decides to chase Phil around the house with it. Probably goes on for 5 minutes until Phil can finally barricade himself behind the kitchen door. So we push against it, but this was when Phil was at his prime wrestling weight, so it was a waste of our time. So we decided to shove it under the door to see if we could get his feet and make him freak out even more. And about 2 seconds after we did that, we see this come through the door. Phil's size 12 crushed right through the door. And to this day, he says that it was an accident, but I think we all know that there wasn't the case. And my parents walk out the next day out of their bedroom in the garage or to the, driveway. And there are us three and a couple others in our boxers painting a new door that we had just bought at Home Depot so that we could replace it before our friend's parents got home.
So Phil and I played the same sports in high school. We spent almost all of our time together, which leads to the type of brother relationship I talk about. We fought all the time, hated each other at times, loved each other most of the time. We both played football. We both played on the same side of the ball, so we spent every practice together. As soon as the last game of football was over, the next morning we went to wrestling practice, where we were practice partners. Every single day, getting beat up by your best friend is really tough for somebody's psyche. We were also study partners. At lunch every day, we sat next to each other, and I would give Phil all the answers to the test that I took before lunch. So it wasn't all getting beat up or getting cheated off of. I do have one quick story from high school. We were tasked, for whatever reason, one day with but a teacher told us to take some boxes downstairs. And so we do, and we have to walk by the library. We're walking by the second floor, and the library is filled with windows. And we go by, and I say to him, I said, I will give you all the money in my wallet if you moon the library right now. And he said, how much do you have? I said, that's not, I can't tell you that. You have to decide if this is worthwhile. So Phil pulls his pants down, puts his butt cheeks on the window, slides at least 50 feet, scraping his butt against the window, but also slamming, with both hands slamming the window with his hands. And, there's at least 60 people in there. And shortly thereafter, Stephen O'Reilly, who's sitting over there, who is here all the way from Singapore, got brought into the principal's office, I guess because they both have black hair, and he got suspended for 3 days because he would. He would not give Phil up. He refused to.
That story right there is just a testament to the friendship that we've all built together throughout these years. So after high school, Joey and I went off to Austin, and Phil decided to take his talents to Norman, Oklahoma to wrestle at OU. He obviously couldn't be away from the two of us for a full year, so he'd often venture down to Austin. And when he left Norman, there was always two things that you could find in his car before he left: Red Bull or something of the sort, and winter mittens. Yes, mittens, because he would have, when he's driving, he would have to turn the AC on the coldest setting at as high as it would go to keep himself awake for the 6 hours. So when he's driving, these things are the closest things to the AC. So he'd have to keep his hands cold so that he could still feel it and drive it all the way to Austin. He is a smart man. So after his year at OU, Phil transferred down to Trinity to play football. And that's really where I think he found home. Not that he didn't have friends and have a good time at OU, because we all know that he makes friends wherever he goes. But it seemed to me, at least, in the times that we talked, which was all the time, that he had found an awesome group of friends and that that's where he was supposed to be. And now I feel like Phil has done for Joey and I what they credited me with 20 years ago, and that's bringing two awesome groups of people together and giving us all a new set of friends. And I have to shout out to Grace Hooten, who said it best the other day. She said, hanging around Phil is like playing a game of the 6 Degrees of Philip Counselor. And I have to totally agree. As we look around this place, everyone here is somehow connected to Phil. And even if you don't know the person you're sitting right next to, he's somehow touched each and every one in a way that I guarantee you they remember.
That was good. I left out a part of that last story. I had $2 in my wallet. So, Taylor touched on Phil going to Trinity. Obviously, so many of you guys are from Trinity. Phil met the Bengal Lancers at Trinity, became a Bengal Lancer. Fine group of gentlemen. There are more of y'all here than maybe I thought were going to be, but I'm going to keep on going. So Phil really found himself with y'all. He finally found a group of guys that could party as hard as he could. Some of them could maybe shotgun a beer almost as fast or chug a pitcher. They certainly all shared your passion for going shirtless in social settings. No, seriously, it's an amazing group of guys, and you guys share a really awesome bond. It could not have been more perfect for you. After I graduated from UT, I spent a summer in San Antonio because I didn't want to go home yet, and they took me in like I was one of their own, treated me just like I was a part of their group, though I was forbidden from wearing red T-shirts. After that, I moved to Houston. Phil joined me there shortly after, and he had a short adjustment period to life after being a Bengal Lancer. I was going to say he had a clothing style that borderlined on absurd in college, but I'm going to say it just was absurd. He had if anybody was at the rehearsal last night, you saw some pictures of when he had like kind of a mop head look, where it went in a full circle all the way around, curled up at the top, you couldn't see his eyes, and then he would wear jeans that were about 6 or 7 sizes too big. They were like I used to call them Jinkos. I don't know if anybody knows what those are, but and then he would top it off with white loafers. So he moved to Houston, and one of the first weekends in Houston, we go to a bar. And we get to the front of the line. It's a bar in Midtown. It's a crowded place. So we get to the front of the line, and the doorman goes, no, sorry, bro, you can't come in dressed like that. And Phil goes, are you serious? And the doorman, completely straight-faced, pointed at Phil's shoes, and he says, are you serious?
All right, we're almost done, I promise. So, so many of you know that after I graduated from UT, I moved out to California because I didn't want to go 3 hours home. I wanted to go 30 hours away from home. So I've lived there for the past 9 years. I don't regret moving away because I wanted to get out and try something new. I knew I wanted to do that, and if I didn't, I wouldn't have met my beautiful wife. So I don't regret that one bit. Shout out. But as much as I hated being away from these guys, whenever they'd come out to California to visit or I'd come home, it's literally like we never even missed a beat. And that may be because we talk on GChat every day at work for hours on end, but I like to think that whether it's a day that passes or a month, it would be the same. My wife mentioned the other day about how cool it must be for our parents to have seen us three grow up for the last 20 years and still be the good friends that we are. Because our three moms are all friends. So I'm so excited to see how we interact for the next 20 years and how our kids interact. And if you've ever seen Phil, obviously you all at the wedding saw Phil interact with his nieces and nephews. I can't wait for that time when that's our kids. One thing I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about Trinity is that it introduced Phil to Grace. And we met Grace on New Year's of 2012. Phil invited us to this great boat party that, most of you heard this last night, but it's okay. She invited us to this great New Year's party on Lake Austin, and Phil was talking to us about, I've met this new girl, and I'm kind of nervous, and that was really the first time that we had gotten to see the two of them interact. And as soon as we got there, you could just tell that there was something special about the two of them. Most of you guys here know Grace, and those who don't know Phil, but I think that she perfectly compliments him in every way and brings out the best in him. And she's definitely the one who got him fitting in this suit today. Grace, I'm so happy that you and Phil found each other and truly blessed to welcome you into our family and excited to grow old with you and have our kids grow up together. Sorry. And I forgot about Phil. Phil, I couldn't have asked for a better friend for the past 20 years. You're one of the most genuine, loving, caring people I've ever met. You have your friends back no matter what, and you always stand up for what you believe in, even if you're wrong. I know you don't think I've told you this enough in our 20 years together, but I love you, man, and I'm so happy for the two of you guys.
Nice job, Phil. Okay, almost done. So we tell these stories because Phil is such an interesting person. There's so many more stories. There's so much that makes Phil who he is. There's just no other way around it. You have such a gift for creating friendships and relationships and bringing people together. It really, truly is amazing. But the best thing that you ever did was convincing Grace to spend the rest of her life with you. I remember along those same lines, that same boat party. Phil really wanted to impress Grace. He invited every person he could think of to come to this party to show her, that he was supporting her and how many friends he had and all that. And he was really nervous. He was very nervous about it. And I had not seen that from Phil since I don't know when, maybe high school. He knew before they even started dating that she could be the person that he spends the rest of his life with. And that was very easy to tell. Grace, you bring out the absolute best in Phil. You look absolutely stunning tonight. You're the sweetest, most loving person. Taylor hit on it, but as we've spent the last 20 years together, I can't wait for what the next 50 years look like now that we all have wives who we don't deserve by our sides and God willing, families that we've yet to create. So we'll finish it with that. I know everybody's ready to go party and tired of listening to us. We love you guys. Here's to Phil and Grace.